Be sure and tell them Large Marge sent ya.
In the 90s, we were just teeny tykes. We went to movies and our bikes. We wanted to be DJs, but we were just teeny gals. So we went off to college and we remained best pals. 20 years later, we're still watching flicks and we're bringing you the favorite bit by bit. Sweety and Sweety are here to say it's the Large Marge Santa's podcast. Hey.
Hey guys, welcome to the Large Marge Senna's podcast, your favorite podcast where two Sweety sisters talk about their favorite flicks from childhood. I'm Sweety with a Y.
And I'm Sweety with an IE.
And we're here. Took a little hiatus.
Okay, not really.
Every time we do this. Anyways, Sweety went on vacation.
Yay.
She had a great time. So we were off last week. Sorry about that. But we're back now.
We made it.
And tonight we watched Good Burger.
Home of the
Good Burger. Can I take your order? Wow. Good Burger, you guys. Crazy, right? So, 1997. It was a great year. I don't know. That year always sticks out to me. It was like the year of our car, the Pathfinder. We had a 97 Pathfinder.
Wow, good memory.
Liz graduated high school.
That's what sticks out
in
for me.
97. I was in third grade.
Whoa.
We got our dog Sunny.
Whoa.
So a lot of events,
Japanese
you
exchange
know. No.
I think that
Was
was, the year
it?
before that.
Oh, okay. Who knows? Anyways, Good Burger. Wow. I loved this movie. I was a huge Nickelodeon fan, a huge All That fan. I believe I saw this movie with my cousin Kate in Hingham. We used to do this like cousin swap in the summer when one of us would go to our cousins in Hingham and the other one would come to the Cape and be with the other one. So Kate was my gal, and I think I saw this where the old like Hingham theaters used to be, like where the Hingham shipyard is now.
Did you sneak in
No.
Hawaiian Punch juice boxes and
Maybe.
bags of chips?
I know we did that when we saw Balto.
Yeah,
or whatever,
that was like a
but,
thing our Uncle Mike was
yeah,
really
Uncle
passionate
Mike was
about.
into that. Well, back then, you know, it was an arm and a leg. It still
It was.
is, but now we have credit cards, so it's
Now
like
we have credit
not,
cards.
you know,
That's
like
true.
it was always like cash back then.
I
So like
know.
I think it was just like harder for people to shell out the bucks to be like, what do you
Definitely.
mean I got to pay $5 for a soda?
Right, and for like all the little kids
Bullshit.
ones, and probably
But
didn't need
anyways,
it anyway.
yeah. So we saw this, loved it. I remember quoting this movie all the time with my friends and just thinking it was like the most hilarious thing. And like I would like reuse the lines like as if I made them up like at school. And it was great. It was just like I
Plagiarizing.
really think that this movie and like pretty much like all Nickelodeon shows and whatever were very foundational in my sense of humor and what and how I became who I am today.
Wow.
Which is a comedian genius. No,
That's so deep.
no, but I love this movie, and all that was such a big deal, you guys. It was like this diverse cast of characters. This is where we got Kenan Thompson, who's famously the longest running SNL member to date. But great group of kids, and just like skits for kids. It was like SNL for kids.
It was SNL for kids. I was surprised to learn that this movie was the only spin-off of a Nickelodeon show.
I believe
which
it.
I can't believe.
I don't think they really didn't like. What they gonna
I'm
do like
glad.
a Pierre Cardin like
No, any Nickelodeon show has not had. a
Oh, Hey
spin-off.
Arnold had a movie.
Okay, maybe like real people ones. So yeah, because didn't Doug have a movie? I think
Well,
Doug had a
technically,
movie.
they did an Are You Afraid of the Dark movie like recently.
Oh,
So maybe that's not true.
Okay,
But
well-
back then, for sure. But this was a big deal because this was Nickelodeon's. Was this Nickelodeon's first? No, like probably
I
Harriet the Spy was or something.
I didn't read that in the
Um,
trivia. I don't think it was its first by any means, but
see.
very similar to how the just made me think of how with all that being a skit show, SNL being a skit show, how many movies got generated out of those MTV SNL skits?
Yeah.
And you're kind of surprised like that didn't happen more. Not
know.
necessarily for the skit show, but like why wasn't there an Alex Mack movie? Like why wasn't there
God.
like Mr. Fowler's Shelby Woo
Oh my
movie? I could have seen those. but
I
maybe
know.
it wasn't the time when that was happening.
Maybe they
really.
didn't think like, yeah. Maybe they thought like, I don't know,
Also
kids,
money.
cartoons,
They
money,
were
blah
making
blah
enough
blah.
on the
Like
TV
who
shows, yeah.
knows? But Good Burger, funny movie.
Wait, hold on. I haven't talked about how
What?
I have.
Oh
of it.
yeah, yeah.
There's
Sorry.
another person on this
I
podcast.
forgot. I
Steamroll.
forgot how this
Jeez.
works.
I don't know if I've ever. I probably have seen it because when I was watching it, I was like, okay, it's all coming back to me.
Probably
now.
made you watch it. It was like, this movie is so
It's all funny. I
funny.
gotta watch it. I was like a little too old, so 97, I would have been going into 9th grade, like fall of 97. I was in 9th grade. So that seemed like a little bit old, even though the kids in here are like in high school. But of course, Sweetie always has to remind me to talk into the mic, and I say,
She's
listen,
like way over
my
to
voice
the right.
is loud enough
know,
that
but see the
I don't
difference?
need to do it.
See the difference now?
Well, I don't want to blast these people
You're not
like out of their
blasting
headphones.
Oh God.
So don't recall, definitely not see this in the movie theater. And I would not say foundational humor wise for me. I found this movie like very sweet, and I really did enjoy it. I had a good experience watching it. But it's not really my kind of humor, and we'll talk about it. Like the dim-witted guy, sweet guy humor, just gets lost on me. Also, this movie leans heavy, and I mean, this is the entire Ed character on the literal comedy, which is I call the airplane style, which is like what you're saying. The guy takes everything people say literally, and that is funny in some way sometimes.
See, I call it.
But a whole movie based on that, a whole character.
I said that Ed had very big Amelia Bedelia energy.
Amelia Bedelia, good one.
And that was, I mean, that's like a kid thing that kids
Yeah.
think
Is
is funny.
exactly. So it's kid humor
And like kid like that, slapstick, like it's all in there.
Yeah.
But the thing that spoke to me was like the little more nuance, but still dumb. So this is where I'm talking about, like, this is kind of like Mel Brooksy, right? Where like you have, I can't think of a great example. The only one that's coming to my head is that at the end, when they pick Ed up and they're chanting his name, they're like, Ed, Ed. And he keeps being like, what? Ed, 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 what? Like he thinks they're talking to him, but they're just like cheering for him. Like something like that is like silly, but I don't know. I just got a kick out of it. It tickles me. It's funny.
Yeah. I think I'm more like the straight man humor. So there's also a like straight man kind of dumb man kind of thing going on with Keenan being the straight guy and Ed's like kind of the wacky one. And I was laughing like way more at like the Keenan stuff.
Yeah. No, he's
That's just like more like my jam, I think. So it was really funny. Like Sweetie said, loved all that. I was slightly on the too old side to really appreciate it. Like I think all that was 95, right? So like middle school, I was like I was into it, but then it just felt like just a year later, I was kind of like, oh, this is lame. So
dumb.
I know,
Well,
which is sad and kind of makes me sad, but that's just how it goes.
But I do really like how they took this concept. So the skit and all that is really just Ed, who is Kel Mitchell, and he plays Ed, this cashier at this place called Good Burger. So the whole skit, every time they did the skit, it was just like Ed waits on like 2 or 3 customers, and like that was the skit. And Keenan was always one of the customers. Like he was never also working at this burger place because only Ed was ever working at this burger place. So the way that they kind of like wove a story into this concept, I thought was pretty smart.
Yeah, I liked it too.
So
There was some smartness to it.
and the Keenan and Kel relationship, obviously very sweet.
Yeah,
like they
very
went on
sweet.
to do their show, Keenan and Kel, after all that, and they stayed friends, I think, for like the rest of their
Hope
life.
so.
And then
they
when
make it?
Keenan, yeah, well, they did a reunion on SNL. They did the Good Burger skit, and Kel came back for the first time in like 20 years.
Yeah.
It was really special.
Yeah, very sweet. And they
and-
do have a really good dynamic.
Yeah, no, and they're great,
sure.
and I loved them. So, yeah.
Okay, so who's in this movie? Actually, quite a
Gosh.
vast cast, I will say. So, obviously, Kel Mitchell, Kenan Thompson, already talked about them. Can't forget Sinbad.
Sinbad, everyone's favorite.
Sinbad is funny. Everything that guy does is funny to me. I don't know.
Yeah,
He's just
he
like
was. Yeah,
a
he plays
kook.
this like awful teacher who like keeps getting his car like
Mr. Wheat. I got to
And
stay
then
away from
Mr.
him. I have a gluten allergy. Stay away from that guy.
get away. That's funny. Good
I guess
one.
there was a real Mr. Wheat high school teacher that the writer had, so he like stuck him in here. Okay, Abe Vigoda.
my
What
God.
movie does that guy not pop
He's in
into?
everything.
He's in everything.
Abe,
Like, how do you
Abe and
get-
his eyebrows.
How do you get roped into this movie? I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. That's a great
But
question.
it was a great role as Otis.
Oh my God.
The very
Love
elderly
Otis.
man who works at Good Burger.
But like, what happened with his like oxygen mask? He didn't need it after he started
Guess
eating the
not.
secret sauce.
Guess not.
Apparently,
Yeah.
interesting.
You had Shar Jackson as sort of
my
the
God.
love interest. She was like in every African American sitcom in like the 90s. She was
You can just say black sitcom. I think.
black sitcom in the 90s. She did. There was another like
She
kinda
was
famous movie.
famously married to Kevin Federline.
What?
Yeah.
That's why her face looks familiar. Oh,
Shar Jackson. That's
God.
her.
Thank you. Okay, that makes sense.
Yep.
My favorite,
Oh my
who
God.
I had a crush
I
on.
wrote Josh Hottie
Yeah.
in my notes.
So all that had one of the cast members, Josh. Did you know his last name was Server? I forgot that. Weird last
I know,
name.
probably,
anyway,
but I
cool.
forgot.
And as far as I recollect, all the ladies loved Josh on that show. He was a hottie. Everyone had a crush on him. He plays like a non-existent character in this. Like he only has like a couple scenes, but it was good to see him.
But he was like a staple of all that.
Oh,
like
yeah.
he was like one of the star
Yeah.
players.
And he was dang funny. You had Linda Cardellini.
Hello?
Yeah, hello. Which was her first movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
but
So
she was in
first feature film.
But she was in Freaks and Geeks.
no,
bef-
not until after this. So
Really?
this was her first.
She seemed
big
like
thing.
young in Freaks and Geeks. It didn't
Oh,
seem
yeah.
as young. In
So she's
this.
like in the psych ward, a mental patient. Very fun scene. Bringing out the cameos here. Shaquille O'Neal. What
Shaq.
up? Shaq.
Shaq.
It's not a 90s movie if you don't have Shaquille O'Neal in it. LBD, or as I call Lori Beth Denberg, with vital information
is
for your
that?
everyday
Yep,
life.
another cameo.
Classic. Another great member of all that. Couldn't have done it without her. So funny. Librarian skit. Come on,
Ugh,
anybody?
the best.
Anybody?
Quiet. This is a library.
So
good.
funny. Okay, Mr. Bailey, who owns Good Burger, is played by Dan Schneider, and he wrote the screenplay for this and was the boss in the skit in all that.
Oh, right.
And wrote like a ton of all that skits and was like part of that whole show. So he's
And I think he
featured
did a
in
lot of
there.
other Disney shows, like later Disney shows, like
Oh, okay.
iCarly or
Yeah,
something.
so like mostly a writer, but funny. Another cameo. Can't be a 90s movie if you don't have Carmen Electra in it. Where'd you go, bitch?
Carmen, Electra, and Pam Anderson were like the 90s, like bimbo, people. If you
I
didn't
gotta
have
say-
Carmen, you had Pam, vice versa.
I thought her acting in this was
Solid.
stellar.
Yeah, she's great.
Really good.
I really believed it when she got hit with that golf ball.
Me
you
too.
know?
Blew my socks off when she came in the crutches and was like really pissed. I believed it. I believed it.
Where's her Oscar?
Okay, sadly, Ron Lester plays Spatch, who is the overweight grill cook, and you might recognize him from Varsity Blues as Billy Bob, who that guy. So I remember he had passed away, and then I like read his whole thing. So he was always cast as these, the obese, like sweet characters. And then all his friends and family were like, "You got to lose weight, you're gonna die." So then he had all these surgeries, gastric bypass. He lost like 400 pounds. He was on all these shows and stuff. But then, like, I guess his health like never recovered because he died of like kidney and liver failure. So even though he lost all that weight, like his body just, I don't know, couldn't handle it, or maybe he got into drugs. I don't know. Very sad. And then lastly,
Oh my God.
George Clinton.
Wow. This is how I found out who George Clinton was, basically, was because of this movie.
Yeah.
Fantastic cameo. They play his song in the insane asylum, and the patients are all dancing to it, and he's in the mix in that. And so they released that whole scene as like a music video, I believe, when this came out, that they would play on like Nickelodeon. I don't think they played it on like MTV, but like I'm pretty sure this was like, sometimes they would just play like weird videos, and like they would play like the tiny, like the what's that? Tiny Toons would play the song like Triangle Man. Jimmy knows. Jimmy, what's that? It might be Giants. That's it.
Okay.
They would play those. Like they would do randomly music videos. Anyways, so yeah, George Clinton. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
Good times.
Great.
And also another connection I think is that Coolio samples that song that they play in the insane asylum.
Oh, okay.
And that's the Keenan and Kel theme song.
Oh,
Do 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 do
yeah.
do.
Okay.
Do,
I thought
do,
that sounded familiar.
do, do, do,
Good
do,
call.
do,
Okay.
do, do. Many
That's great.
layers.
Yeah, so tons of people in this, tons of good cameos. Awesome. They were able to get like people to do this movie. Directed by Brian Robbins, who directed Norbit, the update of the Shaggy Dog with Tim Allen, I guess. Varsity Blues. Oh. And was a director of several episodes of All That.
Wow.
So they kind of just carried him over. So yeah, cool flick.
Cool. All right. Let's talk about it.
Okay. It's time for the Sweety synopsis.
Yeah, sweeties. I'm a dude.
He's a dude.
She's a dude. 'Cause we're all dudes. Yeah. Oh, so good. And I love that they have like a song of that. I didn't know that. I was like, oh my God, hilarious. All right. Dexter Reed has just finished his, I don't know, sophomore year in high school. He's super stoked on summer vacation. Has decided it's a great idea to take his mom's like expensive red car to school, even though he does not have a license. I repeat, does not have a license. I would never in 1,000 billion years be like, I'm going to drive. I just like was not that kind of kid. Some kids did that. We did not do that. I would never have broken a rule like that. Law like that, excuse me. Anyways, but he takes the car and unfortunately gets into a bit of an accident when he almost hits Ed, no last name, I don't think, delivering a good burger on his roller skates or rollerblades. And so swerves to avoid him, hits a parked car, which unfortunately happens to be Mr. Wheat's car. The teacher. So that's Dexter's teacher who, was like, you failed the I don't know. He was like, you need to get your ass in gear or whatever. And then he hits his car. So unfortunately, the car is going to take a lot of money to fix, which Dexter does not have. So he needs to get a job. $1,900 and like $500. But that's the estimate. Yeah. So Dexter's like, all right, fuck, I got to get a job. So a brand new burger shop I don't know what you call that. A burger emporium has like opened called Mondo Burger. And so the 90s, if you recall, was a time when we were all strangely obsessed with like the future and like space. So Mondo. Can you give some examples? Some examples. I don't know. I just feel like everything was like space, like cool, like Xenon girl of the 21st century and like alien. And like you always had like alien, like I had a shirt with like a green alien head on it when I was in third grade. Like
Independence Day?
This was the time where we were like, let's wear space clothes. And like, we just thought that was cool. So Mondo Burger is very much like in that vein. So it's like futuristic. It's for some reason this like giant, it's like a palace. Yeah, it's a really big building. What else is there? Is it just burgers? Do they have games? I don't know. So their thing is like they have these giant burgers and they're hoping to put this like little mom and pop shop across the street, Good Burger, out of business, which is where Ed works. And Ed is not a very good employee, but he's the only cashier apparently, because when he's not there, they can't serve the customers. So, anyways, but Mondo Burger, Dexter goes to work there, doesn't do well. He doesn't do good with authority, Dexter, and he's like always cracking jokes.
He should go into the military.
Yeah, he reminds me a lot of myself. When I was in 5th grade, I was just like always cracking jokes. I got kicked out of band practice once because I was like cracking too many jokes. But he gets fired, so he's like, fuck, what am I gonna do? Goes across the street to Good Burger, orders 10 milkshakes, and Ed's like, what's wrong, man? And Dexter tells him his problems, and then Ed's like, well, why don't you just work here? And then Dexter's like, great idea. So he starts working at Good Burger.
Making a whopping
$5 an hour, which is like criminal, but I guess the time. I'm trying to remember when I started working, maybe I was making like $6 an hour. So like, I guess it's not that far off. And that was later. So,
well, at the end of the podcast, I'm going to tell you about my $5 an hour job at Wendy's that I worked at college.
Oh yeah.
So
well, we've talked about it before.
And it was 2000.
Yeah. We talked about the khaki pants, and then they only had size extra large shirts.
So it came down to my ankles. I wore a hairnet, I wore a visor, and I wore a name tag that said Emily.
I love it.
It was the worst year of my life.
But
I made $5 an hour.
Right. Awful. Criminal. Sounds illegal. But so Mondo Burger opens. There's so much power and juice coming out of that place that the Good Burger doesn't have any electricity. Aww. So they're like, fuck. So they don't. How is Good Burger going to stay in business with this Mondo Burger? Nobody knows. So one day Ed is having a burger and Dexter's like, what's that sauce you're putting on it? And Ed's like, oh, this is my special sauce. So he's like made his own little special sauce that he takes with him and like puts on his burgers. And Dexter tries some and is like, oh my God, this is amazing sauce. Has everybody try it. Everybody's like, this is amazing sauce. So they're like, why don't we put this on the burgers? And then everyone will like our burgers better. And wouldn't you know it, they're right. It works.
Like a charm.
Everybody fucking loves it. And it's a secret. It has to be secret. So Dexter's like, don't tell anybody the recipe because he knows this is like a gold mine. The boss.
And then he also like goes into partnership with him. He makes him sign a contract because it was his idea to like have him
use the sauce. But the boss is like, I'm going to give you 5 cents extra or whatever for every burger sold because it's your sauce. And so Dexter hears that and it's like, I gave you the idea, so I'm going to have you sign this contract. And Ed doesn't know, so he's just like, I'll sign whatever. And he's like,
and they're starting to be friends at this point. Like, even though Dexter's like, wow, this Ed guy's kind of weird, and they have
definitely taking advantage of him.
Yeah, he knows he seems kind of dim, but good-hearted. So and he really needs money because Dexter's whole drive is to get money to fix the teacher's car.
Yeah, that's his goal. So eventually, Mondo catches on to this secret sauce and is like, we got to figure out what's in that secret sauce so we can steal it. So that's their first plan. So they send in Carmen Electra, a.k.a. Roxanne, who is coming to seduce little sweet Ed, who's like never kissed a girl in his life that we know of, to try to get this secret sauce. So she goes on a date with him and it doesn't go well. Ed like just doesn't want anything to do with like any of her advances. Tries to get the recipe, but Dexter's like, no, shut up. Like, don't tell her.
Oh, sorry. But she causes like massive injury to her because he doesn't know that she's trying to like flirt with him and ends up like hitting a golf ball in her head, pulling out her chair. She falls on her ass, and then
she tries to kiss him.
Yeah, and he like flips her over, like, and she hits her head. I don't know. She basically is like a walking broken body at the end, and she does not get the secret sauce recipe, even though she tried really hard. But he just like is too dumb to even give it to her.
Right. So that plan's over. So Mono's like, fuck. Next thing is that Ed and Dexter are like outside eating burgers or something, and this dog comes up and is like barking, and he wants food. So they try to give him a Mondo burger, and he like sniffs it and is like, that thing that dogs do where they're like, and like they don't like it, and they're like, give him a good burger. So they give him a good burger, and he eats that right up. So they're like, whoa, there must be something bad in those Mondo burgers.
Can I tell you my first thought, as I'm pretty good at figuring out movie plots like ahead of what happened.
Sure.
And I was like, they're putting dogs in those burgers. That's why the dog didn't want to eat it.
That is dark.
No, I really went for it.
I feel like a dog would have eaten it. Like, I don't think dogs care.
I think he would have cared. But
I think
that's not what happened.
No.
Thank God.
So they're like, something's in there. So now Ed and Dexter's plan is to figure out what is Mondo putting in those burgers. So they break into Mondo. They go dressed as women.
Old women.
But Ed has decided to also wear like women's lingerie under his outfit.
He looked really
He looked good. He looked fine. I loved it. He looked hot. I loved it. They find out that they're putting some kind of like chemicals in the burger. I forget what it's called, but it's like tribolide or whatever. Yeah. It's like not a real thing. And then right when they get caught, of course. And unfortunately, the evil Mondo Burger guy, what's that guy's name? Kurt, who like talks in the third person.
Kurt Vonnegut, sounds like that.
And he's like, Kurt wants you to, like that, like super douchebag. Although I definitely had a huge crush on him when I was little, I remember. And I remember the part where Ed's like, dude, you need a Tic Tac. I was like so embarrassed for it because I was like, no, but I love him.
But he's supposed to be my boyfriend.
He's supposed to be my boyfriend. He has bad breath. I was really upset about that. But so apparently Kurt has some hookup in the insane asylum called Demented Hills.
Ooh.
And I like puts in a call to like take away Ed and Dexter and commit them. So that's his big plan. So they get committed to this place. Meanwhile, now that those two are out of the way, the Mondo Burger guys decide to break in and steal this and poison the secret sauce, because if they can't steal the recipe, let's just get all the customers sick so that they have to be shut down. So they put shark poison, quote unquote, in the secret sauce. But Otis, the old man who does the fry machine and sleeps and lives at Good Burger, I guess.
Oh my God. This
Like
makes no
catches
sense.
them, and so they chuck him in the insane asylum as well. So he tells Ed and Dexter what's up, and they're like, we got to get out of here, we got to save the customers. So now it's all about a race to get back to Good Burger so they can save the customers. So there's this great dance scene. They bust out of Demented Hills. They steal an ice cream truck, and then they get back to Good Burger just in the nick of time for like one old lady's about to sink her dentures into a Good Burger, and Ed like tackles her. And then they're like, don't put any secret sauce in anything. And they're like, we got to go back and get. So at this point, I totally thought the movie was over, and I was like, oh, good, like they did it. And then they're like, we got to go back in there and get a can of that stuff to prove it. And we're like, I'm like, fuck, that's right, they have to go back in there.
What a
So now they
cliffhanger.
have to break in again and get the stuff, and then it goes awry, and then you think Ed fucks it up. He comes out with an empty can of it, and they're like, Ed, come on. But oh no, Ed actually emptied the entire can in the burger stuff. So now these insanely giant burgers are being done. So that's chemical or whatever is like makes the burgers expand basically, and it's like some food additive that's harmful, which I thought was really funny in this, because I don't know if we were talking a lot about food additives back then, and now of course it's like all the thing, right? So I'm like, man, Good Burger really saw the future.
I know. Monsanto, what is that like brand? Everyone's like,
Oh, yeah.
the wheat,
And
the
GMOs
wheat.
and like all that stuff. So wait, is it GMOs or GMFs? Genetically modified organism? No. What is it? I don't even know. Don't at me. I don't know what it is. But anyways, so then the burgers are so big that they're like exploding, and it causes this like major meltdown of like all the entire Mondo Burger place, and everything's like exploding, and the giant burger falls off and crushes Mr. Wheat's like just new fixed car. Too bad for him.
Karma's the bitch.
And Kurt gets arrested, and Mondo is donezo, and Good Burger reigns supreme. And really, at the end of the day, you just have this like really nice friendship between Dexter and Ed, who've like gotten closer this whole time. And Dexter slowly finds out that like Ed's not as dumb as he seems. Like he was like, how did you figure out to like put the stuff in the burgers? And he was like, well, I knew that like I was probably gonna get caught, so I had to get rid of it, and like, so well, why not put it in the burger? So like he really is. There's some thinking behind there. It's like that's always the trope with these, right? It's like, I feel like there's another movie like that too, where you're like, you think this character's dumb, and you're like, actually, he was smart about some things. So that's that, and like all is well. So obviously, a bunch of side plots chucked in there. There's this whole like love thing with Shard Jackson and Dexter, which is sweet. The friendship with Ed and Dexter is really sweet. The part where he gives Dexter the yo-yo. Come on. Explain. Well, what was the story with the dad?
So the dad,
Dexter's
kind of an
dad.
absentee father situation, and he gave his dad gave him a yo-yo that like lit up, and he loved it like more than anything in the world. And then it stopped lighting up, and that was like around the same time his dad stopped showing up, I guess, too. And it,
my
like,
God.
kind of connected the two.
What a
and
metaphor.
Never look at yo-yos the same again or something. I don't know. So that Ed buys him a new yo-yo that lights up, and he's like really touched by that, and just like that extra step he did. So like really sweet guy.
Cute.
Yeah. So hopefully they continue to be
they
friends.
made it. Yeah.
Why doesn't Ed go to school?
I think he's older.
Oh,
I thought. I mean, that's what I always assumed when I watched this. Like, I always assumed he was like 18, and like,
I mean, he lives at home because he says one of the jokes in that story is, oh, like, I don't even remember what my dad looks like. That's what Dexter says. He's like, man, I understand you. I don't even remember what my dad looks like, and I see him every day.
And so the very beginning of the movie is they show like Ed waking up. And the thing I love about this is that like it's super meta, right? Because you have when you have these characters in these shows, so like typically maybe like a cartoon character, they're always wearing the same outfit, right? You never see that character like outside of this little bubble of like their outfit. You don't really often see them in pajamas or anything like that. So the beginning of this movie, they show Ed waking up in his bed, and he's already dressed in his Good Burger uniform, which is like hilarious because that's the only kind of way we've seen him and all that. So it makes sense that they were like, let's perpetuate this. And to the point where they have him like taking a shower with his uniform and like all of that. it's that, but then it's also this like anti-sex thing that they have going on. I felt like in most Nickelodeon movies, like really rarely mention sex, and like the fact that Carmen Electra was in this was shocking. But the way they like water down what she's doing to Ed, like Ed is just like a blank wall, like a brick wall, just like she's chucking like, look at my hot bod at him, and he's just like, nope, 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 and it's just very Nickelodeon to me. Like always like zero sex in Nickelodeon shows.
They were interested in that, you know.
Yeah, so of course you're not going to show Ed in a shower or something. I don't even know if did Dexter and Monique even kiss? Like I don't even know if they got that
Maybe
far.
some good hugs.
But anyways, the standout scene I thought was the insane asylum scene. Would you agree?
Well, yes, it was such a groovy tune, that George Clinton song, and also I felt it was very reminiscent of Thriller because they're all like
they're dance
medicated
moves,
out.
Well, they're doing like a Thriller move.
Yeah, they're doing kind of Thriller moves, but they're also like medicated out psych patients, so they have like a zombie kind of look to them anyway. They're like,
True,
you know, but they're like have enough energy to dance. So yeah, that was great. And then they incorporate some good slapstick where Dexter like uses the moves to knock out the guards because he gets them to dance, and then starts like elbowing him in the face and like in the nuts and stuff. So that was fun. Yeah, definitely. It felt a little long.
Oh my god, it's
And
so long. Wait, the whole movie?
Never say that, and that's something you always say. But this was in one case where I kept pausing
long
it,
was-
and being like, "What? When
Was
does
it
this
an
wrap
hour?
up?"
Was it an hour and a half?
I think it was longer than that. It just kept going.
Well, that's what I mean about the like. Well, yeah, when I thought it was over, and then it was like, now we have to go steal that can of like whatever, and I was like,
Like,
oh no, that's gonna take forever. But then you forget that like Mondo Burger's just like across the street. But yeah, it did feel very
and I
long.
don't even know what took so long because the plot is not very full.
Well, they had all these like little, side things, I guess, that take time. All right, so yeah, hour and 35 minutes. So like,
Wow,
it's
it
actually
felt super
really not.
long.
It's like the perfect length,
Yeah.
but there's just something about it that like drags it out or something. Because I guess we take a long time to get to the reveal that Mondo Burger is doing something nefarious with their burgers, right? Like, and that's kind of like the main conflict or thing that they're trying to get to. But I don't know. So when I was little, the thing that spoke to me the most about this were the Mondo Burger uniforms, which again, this very like space age vinyl was huge in the 90s. Sweety and I both had a pair of vinyl pleather pants.
It does remind me a little bit of like Delia's like
Yes.
wet
So
steel shit. That
this was like shiny
cheap and
vinyl.
shiny and plastic.
Yeah, shiny vinyl outfits. The girls' outfits were so hot. They were like these like crop top, like yellow zip things, this like black mini skirt, and then these go-go boots. Oh my god, I was obsessed with it. I was like, where can I get one of those? I need to wear that outfit right now. So obsessed. And then what's the other thing I loved about this? I don't know. I
What
just
were
thought it was
some of the
hilarious.
lines that you said all the time? That pretended were your own thoughts
I have to like look quickly
in
at
school.
the.
And people are like, "Oh my god, that Andre is so funny."
Well, it wasn't like I'd be like with my friend. Like I feel like my friends and I would say it, and like we all knew the joke because we saw the movie or whatever. But so I know there was one. Definitely. Okay, I don't know. Hold on, you talk about something. I'll find it.
Okay, yeah. So it's like all literal comedy, which, like I said, airplane style, which is just like, you say something and the character takes it literally. So I'm just the one I'm just remembering now is the villain is like, you better watch your butt. Like, I'm coming after you. And Ed's just like, what? Like, literally turns around.
Oh.
He's just like looking at his ass and he's like, I'm watching my butt.
Yes, so like stuff like that.
Yes.
Like it's very like Pee Wee Herman. Like I'm listening
Yes.
to reason. So like I loved that. My favorite line, maybe not when I was little, but I like LOL'd so loudly today when I was watching this, is when at the end Dexter comes clean about the contract and he's like, "Look, man, I'm sorry like about the contract. Like, why don't we just forget about it?" And Ed's like, "You don't want to be partners?" And Dexter's trying to be like, "Well, no, see." And then Ed's like, "Is it because I'm black?" And Dexter's like, "What? No, man, what? I'm black." Like, just like so good.
Yeah.
I thought that was great. But stuff like when he's like, haven't I seen you somewhere
Yeah.
before? And Ed's like, have you ever been to Australia? And Dexter's like, no. And me neither. Like stuff like that I loved. Like I love just like silly, like just like sticking words in there that it's just like silly things.
Yeah.
Sweetie, I know. Did you? Oh, I think I read your. Oh no, did you tell me this or did I read your notes?
What?
How Kurt calls people pukes.
Yes. No, in my Instagram.
Oh, in the Instagram story.
That
yeah.
was
So that
funny.
was such a '90s thing, right? There's like
Oh,
another
okay.
movie too where someone's like, "You little
I
puke."
LOL'd from that.
Yeah.
It's like those little pukes.
Yeah. Hilarious. Or like a customer's like, I want a burger with nothing on it. Good burger with nothing on it. So Ed just gives him a bun. He's like, there's no meat in there. You said you want nothing on it. Well, I expect a meat patty. A meat patty is something. You said nothing. Like stuff like that. But yeah, I would just say like dumbass shit. And I thought it was hilarious. Oh, maybe this one. Dexter's a chicken. Moo, moo. Like I definitely said that when I was little. It's so dumb now that like
Oh my god.
it's embarrassing.
You and a whole generation of kids.
It's embarrassing, but now I'm so funny, so it's okay. Or yeah, sorry. Here's another one. Ed, I don't know how to say this. Oh, well, it's easy. You just go this, like very Dumb and Dumber, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
and I love that shit. I don't know. It speaks to me. It
Your
speaks to me.
It's your bread and butter.
I love it.
It's your good burger and
Yeah.
fries.
It's simple.
Good fries.
Everyone likes it. Everyone can understand it.
Good shake.
It makes sense. Oh my god, when he was in the when he gets in the side of the strawberry shake machine, he's like, "I'm in a strawberry jacuzzi." I remember that part
He's kind
so
of like
well.
a stoner.
Yeah, like that's definitely his vibe. He's like a surfer,
Yeah.
kind of like stoner dude. But yeah, we just don't
But
know a lot
straight
about
edge.
Ed. Yeah, but like we just don't know a lot about him, which is
Is
interesting.
he even real?
What do you
Why
mean?
didn't his bathroom, like there were 100 rubber duckies sticking out of the shower
I know.
wall?
He's very much like a Pee Wee. He's kind of
Yeah.
like a Pee Wee Herman,
When
right?
he left the house, it
He's like
reminded me of that.
unsexualized.
Maybe
like,
he does live alone.
asexual.
Yeah.
Maybe lives alone. We don't know how
Yeah,
old. He
okay.
could be 18. He could be 40.
Could
We
be
don't
40.
know.
Black
It's-
people don't age.
It's just a mystery.
I know.
But yeah, anything else you wanted to mention?
Okay, all I wanted to ask you was, what do you think is in the secret sauce?
Well,
Now, the only clue you have is that when they show him making it, there's a carnation like milk canister next to him. So that's the only
which
one
might just be
ingredient you know.
like. But he also says, "Well, you start with a little lemon juice." He always like starts when he's like about to tell somebody
okay.
the recipe. So we know that there's lemon
Lemon
juice in
juice.
it, which is
Okay,
interesting.
Carnation instant milk.
Milk, lemon juice, and then don't they show him adding some other things when he's making
I mean,
it?
I'm
I
going
kind
to
of
be
missed
honest.
it.
I bet it's just ketchup and mayonnaise because it's that same color.
It's everybody's secret sauce.
That
Everyone's
is
got a
everyone's
secret
secret
sauce.
sauce.
It's just that's what it is.
I know.
No, I don't know. It's probably more things in
What
it.
could it be?
Um,
Special spice in there? Some combo of spices? And maybe a little pickle juice? You know, that's a recipe of a lot of secret
Something.
sauces.
And
Pickled
by the
juice.
way, I think that Mondo Burger's like shtick. Who wants a giant ass
those
burger
sound
that you can't fit in your mouth? Like a giant patty like that, it's not gonna like cook very
Those
well.
look nasty and way overcooked.
Yeah.
Did not look appetizing at all.
No
The
wonder
Good
that
Burger
dog didn't
burgers
want it.
still looked pretty good.
Good burger, classic burger.
Except
like-
when they came alive and they looked
oh my god,
gross
that was
when
so
they came
creepy.
alive.
The
In the
beginning,
beginning.
there's like a
Dream
dream sequence where Ed's just imagining the burgers.
Because the burgers on the bottom had what looked like guacamole on it. It was like this nasty green stuff. I don't know why. It was just
Maybe it was
you know,
like
they were
a
clay
salad-
burgers. They were puppet burgers. but-
Salad thing? I don't know.
Lettuce, yeah.
I
maybe,
don't
but-
know. But yeah, Good Burger, huge deal back in the day. I remember this is sort of related, but not. But like, I think Kate and I, or maybe my friend Sarah Horton and I, went to a dog show in like Hyannis that mom took. She was like covering it for a story or something. And those dogs with the like dreadlocks, you know, whatever they're called. We called him Ed. We're like, it's Ed, and
Aw.
like we just thought that was hilarious.
Oh, I met a trivia thing. They did a contest for this, and if you won like first prize, you got to meet Keenan Kel and got to go to the movie premiere, whatever. But then 100 people got an Ed hat with the dreadlocks
God.
attached to it.
So that's what his. Well, that's like what his was like. So there's a scene where he's like in the dumpster, and you see like his
comes off.
his head, but it's like just the dreadlocks with the hat. Because I think it was just all attached, and he just because he's bald, like normally he doesn't really like
Yeah.
have hair normally. So
How does the classic wedge cap stay on?
because it's glued onto the dread
no,
to
but
that
even
wig.
even Keenan's, like even Dexter's, how does his stay on?
How does a yarmulke stay on?
I don't know.
Hair clips.
Yeah,
You
hair
like
clips.
stick a little
I
clip
don't-
in there. Maybe they have a little
Oh.
clip.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Those flimsy little hats.
Um,
How's the nurse's hat stay on?
Yeah,
guess
it's
pink.
just impractical, and like probably why
Totally.
they stopped using those because
Well, it
what's the
doesn't hold any
benefit?
hair
Well, what
in.
is it doing? Yeah, it's not
It's stupid.
useful.
I mean,
Why
Wendy's
keep
we
doing
had the
it?
visor, and I could see why that was useful.
I always try it. Like I worked at a couple like food places, and they'd always be like, remember like Greg, the ice cream place that we used to work at. Remember he would like threaten us that we have to like wear hats sometimes, and we were like, we're not gonna wear a hat.
There's occasional hair
I'm
in
not
the
gonna
ice
wear a hat.
cream.
The yogurt place I worked at, they're like, you have to wear a hat. And I was like, I'm not wearing a hat. I just like never did, and I would just like put my hair up and be like, I mean, my hair falls out all the time, so I hope it doesn't fall out. But like, I don't know what to tell
Definitely
you.
has happened.
You know, worse
a
things.
risk- it's
Worse
risk you
things have
take.
happened.
Risk you take going to an
Worse
ice
things
cream
have
parlor.
gotten in the ice
Sorry.
cream.
Yeah.
Like my blood one time.
Oh my
But
god.
you know, we don't need to talk about that. But it was the strawberry, so you couldn't really tell.
Oh my god. Never
Great
eating
times.
strawberry again. Okay, I feel like I had one other thing to say, but I forgot.
Oh, did you want to talk about Wendy's or?
Oh, I mean, we don't have to bring up again, but what fast food movie did we do where I brought it up?
Like all of them, like, Don't Tell Mom, probably classic wedge cat. Oh yeah, clown dog, the clown dog, probably,
Yeah.
probably, and just like we talked about jobs, I think probably just like
Oh yeah, first jobs or whatever. I mean, yeah, I made $5 an hour. I actually made $5.25. The guy was like, "You guys are
Brutal.
in college. I'm gonna give you a raise."
of a quarter. Thanks.
Oh, it's the hardest
Dude.
job I've ever worked, and I made the least
Isn't
amount
that-
of money. There's nothing like getting a check for like $60 when you like work your ass off for 2 weeks.
Awful. Should have just
Yeah.
been a prostitute or something.
It was brutal,
like-
but it seems like they had a fun time there at good old Good Burger. I mean, Dexter had the great job of being the delivery guy, so he's just driving the burger.
oh my god, the
mobile
Burger
around,
Mobile, which was like
which was made out of a Pacer, which
Yes.
is always a funny car.
which is the Wayne's World car.
Yes.
So it was like the Murph Mobile, but as a burger.
Our
Like I
dad had
wonder
a
if it was
Pacer.
the same one and they
I
just
know,
repurposed
I
it into the Good Burger. Our dad had one.
our dad had a Pacer.
Was the Pacer? No, the Pinto was the one that they had to
Pinto,
recall because it
yes.
like ignited when you hit it.
Pretty sure dad had a Pacer.
That's funny.
Maybe it was powder blue.
What color? Oh, okay. We should ask Carol.
I know.
Ask Carol. But yeah, again, I think that like Keenan and Kel were a big deal. Again, like two young black actors. I think that's a huge deal. And like Sweety and I talk about this a lot, but I do feel that like Nickelodeon did a pretty solid job of like diversifying the world for us. Just like every show that I liked like had a black character, not just a black character, but like an important black character. Like it wasn't just like the side friend character. Like it was Keenan and Kel. They had their own show. You know, it was like, it was good shit. So I just really respect it for what it's done and for giving kids like humor and just like being silly. Like that's really important. And like you can't, I feel like the trend these days now is that kids are being like adultified like really early, right? And so like they're like, ooh, let's watch Gossip Girl, let's watch these shows that are like turning
Over
these
their
14-year-old kids into adults when like we should just be having fun and doing like silly shit and like getting in the milkshake machine. Like
I know. I wonder if Nickelodeon is still. So we watched the Kids' Choice Awards a couple weeks ago. It was like a Friday night, and we were really bored. And it happened to be on TV, and we were watching it. It was really fun. You know, they still slime everybody.
Great.
They were giving away what I thought was weird, like awards to these adults. And I was like, these kids are seeing these movies like that were nominated. It felt kind of strange. They nominated Adam Sandler for this King of Comedy Award. I'm like, are kids watching Adam Sandler movies?
Well, they
Current
did.
children?
I mean, he's like probably maybe he still is, but like all those movies he made back in the day were like Billy Madison. I don't know.
Coming back? I mean,
No, I don't know. Like he's just like he's like a dad. Like if you're like, Dad, who's the funniest?
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't know any
They say
comedians. I don't know Adam
Adam
Sandler. Like that's
Okay.
what like a kid would say, right? Like
Is he,
who's
like,
funny?
I don't know. I'm trying to think.
I don't know. I
what
think
the
kids just like
reference
think
is.
he's funny because he just like does that voice. It's like whoa, boo, you know, like. Adam
I mean,
Sandler
he
voice.
looked like he didn't know why he was there, to be honest. So, But
That's
it was great. And it was a
Adam.
lot of fun elements to it. Like I forgot like who the other people that won were. I don't even remember. Like The Rock won. He wasn't there. Like Taylor Swift won. None like the big people were there. And like all the hosts, I'm like, who the hell are these people? So, but it was interesting. They're still giving away those little orange blimps, you know, that you like look inside and it's a kaleidoscope or whatever. Yeah. So it like really took me back. So I hope Nick is still cool. And like you said, that kids are still able to be silly and they're not, you know, there's so many. Okay. It used to be that Nickelodeon and then like Saturday morning stuff was like all you had for kids programming, you know, like that's all that there was. Now we have all these streaming channels. There's all these offerings for kids now. So I wonder if they have lost like a big, you know,
Probably.
they're trying to stay current and really trying to do things that'll keep kids watching their station, but I'm not sure.
I mean, I think they should just keep bringing back the old stuff so that
I
we
know.
watch it. Like,
know.
I will pay $50. Like, just give me all the content I watched as a kid. It makes me so happy.
I know.
It's the best drug there is like nostalgia.
I mean, do they have like a kids skit show now?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Great question. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to look into that.
Yeah. I want to look into it.
We'll follow up on that. Well, anyways, good times. It brings me back. 97. It was a great time. It's just simple time. You know?
Simple time.
Nothing
Simpler
was wrong.
times.
Nothing was wrong.
Aw.
But yeah, did you watch Good Burger? Did you watch all that? Do you have thoughts? Come find us on Instagram at Large Marge Sent Us. Thank you, as always, for listening. Bye.